Hi folks, I'm Mark Neumann. Get a lot of email questions and a lot of Facebook questions wondering if we actually listen and read what you put on Facebook and also our emails. Want you to know I do. I got this email from Sally. She said, Mark, are you listening to any of us when we ask you questions? We are angry. Help us. Well, Sally, let me say that what got me into running for governor again, I'm a small business owner. Been back in the private sector for 12 years running small businesses, meeting a payroll every week. I've had it right up to here with what our government's been doing. I am listening to you. I wouldn't say I'm angry. I'd say I'm optimistic that we can figure out how to solve the problems, and I'm aggressively going to go at solving these problems that face our state. So I am listening. Keep your comments coming. We appreciate it. Bud sent in, what is your position on removing the appointment of the head of the DNR from government appointment? The governor, as you know, currently appoints the head of the DNR, and the governor is elected by the people. So if the governor messes up that appointment and people are not satisfied with the DNR, they should unelect the governor and elect a new governor who then replace the DNR head. So I would prefer it stays with an elected office, with accountability in an elected office, in this case the governor's office, and I would support staying with that position for right now. Again, with the idea that the governor is held accountable by the voters, and if he appoints someone who is not acceptable, he will be replaced. One added thought on the appointment of the DNR secretary is that we really don't want to be in a position where that person is appointed by an unelected body that cannot be held accountable to the voters of the state. So our position is very much steeped in the fact that the accountability of the DNR secretary must be back through to the voters. The voters elect the governor appoints the DNR, so the voters in fact have recourse if the DNR does not act according to the wishes of the people. If it's appointed by a non-elected body, the voters don't have that control. I got an email from Julie. She says, Mr. Neumann, in one of your campaign ads, you mentioned that 12 years ago you helped balance the budget. Would you please tell us who the president was at that time? You know, getting any job done in government is going to require bipartisan support. At that point, we had a Democrat president, President Bill Clinton. We had a Republican House and we had a Republican Senate. To be honest with you, there were probably 25 members of the House of Representatives, probably 5 or 6 members from the United States Senate, and we managed to get our policies passed by and signed off on by the President of the United States, Bill Clinton. Bottom line on this thing, if we're going to solve the problems facing the state of Wisconsin or facing this country, it's not going to be done by just Democrats or just Republicans. We're going to have to figure out how to work with both sides of the aisle. And it's important that we understand that it's going to take both sides of the aisle to get things done. When the budget was balanced, I was a part of it. I was certainly a member of the Budget Committee as well as the Appropriations Committee at the time. Probably one of 25 members of the House of Representatives that took the lead on getting us to a balanced budget. And don't forget, once the budget got balanced, we were then able to pass the biggest tax cut in American history, and that led to job growth and economic development, which is exactly what we want to see happen here in the state of Wisconsin. This is from Jeff. He says, I've been looking at some of the blogs. One says you're against the state of Wisconsin receiving federal aid money with strings attached. And I assume he's talking about the stimulus money here. Let me say that I was opposed to the stimulus money. The federal government is spending money it does not have. The bill is going to be paid by my children and my grandchildren and maybe the generation after them. So I'm opposed to the stimulus money. If the government wants to spend stimulus money, what they should have done is cut taxes. Because if they cut taxes with that money, people would have kept more of their own money in their own bank account and their own checking accounts, and they would have done one of two things with that money. They would have either saved it, which would have then become capital that our businesses need to grow and expand, or they would have spent it, and in that case it would have created jobs because people had to survive or provide the goods and services that they're spending the money on. So stimulus money is government spending. It's not the right way to spur on the economy. What we should have done instead is cut taxes.